Hey everybody. Obviously a slightly different video today. That is for damn sure. Hey Sigil. Um so as some of you may know, this past week I was out for the entire week in the hospital. And I'm just gonna preface this with the past 2 nights I have not been able to sleep at all. One night in the hospital and last night at home. I actually got home at around 4 o'clock, a little bit before 4 o'clock in the afternoon yesterday on a Friday. So I was in the hospital for basically an entire week, entire 7 day week. Um, and I've been having a really hard time sleeping the past 2 nights, replaying everything in my head that happened the entire week, trying to figure out what went wrong, why things happened the way they happened, and just trying to recall everything to talk to the people that need to be that are going to try to hold people accountable for things. I might cry a little bit. I am a guy and all. I'm an adult, but sometimes you just got to get out of your system. And I have a great support community around me between Facebook and for the family and friends, Discord communities like Worlds Collide, the furry community, and other private Discord sections also in the gaming community. You guys are free to also chat. I did bring up chat on the camera over here to my left. I just saw there for a second. So if you guys want to chat and ask questions, you can. Um, I am going to try to answer some questions, maybe some medical terminology you might have understood or something, or just try to reference things because as I'm trying to help myself, you're also helping me, trying to compartmentalize everything because I am going to have to figure out this and talk this situation over multiple times over the course of the next month. So, but I'm going to start by preferencing this of how it all started. Wednesday. I'm going to bring up a calendar, so I have a calendar in front of me too. But here, let me find just a calendar so I could take a look at a calendar to keep track of myself here. So back on December 25th, actually Christmas Day, I was scheduled to work that day, and I woke up with pain in my abdomen. It was a manageable pain at the time. It was across the top of my abdomen, across the top here, right below where it says fastest, right across here. It was manageable. I managed to go to work. Luckily, the day that we had, I was kind of light day because it is Christmas Day. One of the other networks that usually leaves the program that only leaves the program after 2 hours was taking the full 4 hours. So the other guy ended up doing all the counts and do all the work for me. So I was able to just relax and just concentrate on my one network just to roll breaks and stuff. Got through the day okay. Pain kind of went away over the course of the next day. But on Friday night, on the 20. Oh, the calendar just jumped on me again. But on the 27th, that night, I had pain again. In fact, when I recorded that video for the Golden Golems for the Worlds Collide a year in review, when I recorded the thank you video I did, I was actually in pain, worse than I was on Wednesday when I recorded that video, guys. You probably didn't notice it, but I was actually in excruciating pain around 11 o'clock that night. I tried to go to bed. I couldn't go to bed. I was up all night. The pain kept getting worse, and I started vomiting all night, off and on all night that night, to the point where I couldn't take it anymore. So at approximately 6 o'clock Saturday morning, which would be the 28th, I woke up my wife and I said I need to go to the hospital. And this is where our story officially starts. 7 a.m. arrival to the hospital. I get checked in, going to ER. They I was the only one in the waiting room, so I kind of quickly went in. They got me into an actual room. This hospital, sometimes you don't get your own room. Sometimes they stick you in the hallway outside of a room. But I actually was able to get in there early enough to have my own room. And they put an IV line in. The girl that the first IV line was really quick. She did done. And they started me an IV. Um, they tried to do a couple of tests on me. I did a contrast X-ray. I did an ultrasound later on in the day. They kept me in the ER area till about around 4 o'clock in the afternoon that day. So I was down in the ER area for a good about, I would say, about 9-10 hours until they finally admitted me into the hospital area. They were going to do more tests and more stuff to me throughout the night. Later on, they did order a MRI on me. Oh, let me go back a little bit. Also, when I got admitted in the ER on Saturday, I also was complaining about an earache or an ear infection I have in this ear. I think you've seen on my streams in the past, I've been trying to take this ear off and try to get stuff out of my ear. Apparently, I had an ear infection that was leaking out of my ear. I noted that on Saturday. They did a culture. They put a Q-tip and did a culture of it, but nothing was addressed after that. On So pretty much most of the ER just trying to take in, figure out what's going on. Uh, Kept me overnight, so now we go to Sunday. Sunday morning, started having respiratory problems, um, chest tightness, stuff like that. I They did give me a CPAP machine for Saturday night though, but the problem is with their CPAP machine versus my CPAP machine. My CPAP machine has a built-in water reservoir that also creates a humidifier that keeps everything kind of moist and everything and loose and everything, so nothing ever tightens up. And also on my CPAP machine, the breathing valve is right in your face up here. So when you're breathing, so when the air comes in through the tube, it helps inflate your lungs. It keeps your lungs inflated, your mouth open, your throat open. It all goes right to my face, and it breathe out normally. The problem with theirs is one, they don't have the don't have the humidifier attachment, and second of all, the breathe out tube is down inside the actual airline. The mask is fully enclosed, so when you breathe out, you have to breathe out back down the line that the air is coming in on. And since the air is coming in the line, it's already half part of it's already coming out the line before it even gets to you. And I'm at a what's called a 14 level pressure CPAP, which is extreme sleep apnea. So I wasn't even getting the full flow of air into my lungs because some of it was spilling out through the tube because that's where the breathe tube is on the actual tubing of the thing. So I would wake up a couple times at night gasping for air because I wasn't getting the whole airflow because of their setup. So, and every morning I would be coughing up crap out of my lungs because I was having problems with my lungs too. Wasn't addressed. Throughout the week, through Monday, so we're up to now Monday the 30th and the 31st. They basically put me on wide scale antibiotics. I did a full contrast MRI at 1 o'clock in the morning. I want to say it was either early Sunday morning or early Monday morning, like 1 o'clock in the morning. I don't have the charts in front of me. They put me down the MRI at 1 a.m. And I was in the MRI for about 40 minutes. Shoved you basically, your whole body gets shoved in the tube with your arms above your head. And as you can see, I have bruising on my arms and everything from all the stuff they did. And you get put in a tube for 40 minutes and they scan your abdomen and everything. And what they found is that my gallbladder is essentially ruined. There are still a couple stones in it. What they figured out was by Sunday was that my gallbladder was kicked out like at least a couple stones. I think I kicked out another stone earlier that day on Sunday because I had continued abdominal pain. And what they figured out was the gallbladder kicked out a couple stones into my liver, which um, inflamed the liver as well. And that stone continued down my intestinal tract and ruined stuff in my intestinal tract. So my gallbladder was failing, or it is still failing, but we'll get to that in a minute. And that's the prognosis was to put me on wide-scale antibiotics. They put me through about at least four different types of antibiotics to try to get the infection on my liver sorted out, and try not my liver, my gallbladder, and try to get those to calm down. The problem is that, and I'm going to say the name wrong, the belly ribbons on my liver was not going down. In fact, they were actually going up. And I don't know numbers like that for that number, but you're supposed to be at a 1 or lower on that count for the liver. I was at a 3.5, so I was like 3 times higher than what you're supposed to be for that count. So my liver was incredibly enraged, incredibly it was enlarged too because of everything that was happening. And what they wanted to do was they wanted to remove my gallbladder. So they wanted me to schedule me for surgery to have my gallbladder completely taken out. So Tuesday was going to be the first day they're going to try, but my liver count was still too high. By this point, by Tuesday morning, they have not addressed my upper respiratory infection. They did not address all the junk and everything I kept spitting out every morning, and they still hadn't addressed my ear yet. And I had been telling them and asking them Saturday, Sunday, Monday to have my ear looked at, and they never did. I was coughing up phlegm on Monday. They actually had me put it into a sampling cup for testing. They never took the cup for testing. Finally, Monday night, we had antibiotics, but the antibiotics wasn't targeting my lung area. They were targeting my gallbladder. Monday night, I believe I requested if I could get a chest X-ray for my lungs. They got ignored. I also asked for a nebulizer treatment. They tried to give me my Sympacort inhaler, which is just a little steroid inhaler. I'm like, no, I need an actual breathing treatment. They never gave me a breathing treatment either. Tuesday rolls around, again, throwing up phlegm out of my lungs, off the side of the bed every morning, again, for the past 2 mornings now. Requested again to try to have an ear, nose, and throat specialist or an ENT to get a look at my ear. Was mostly okay that day. Was feeling okay. Didn't have a fever at the time. Finally, the PA did come across after my wife left. My PA did try to come in to check my ear, but couldn't find a working stethoscope. They had one stethoscope on the whole floor, which is that little thing the doctor looks in your ear with. They had one, and it wasn't working. Finally, the ENT did come in that evening, pretty much after his shift. And just to let you know where the ENT office is in accordance to the actual hospital, they're in the attached building. So all he had to do is just walk across. That's all he needed to do. And all I was asking for him to do for my ear for 4 days was take a look in it, be like, oh, yes, you have an ear tube. You need eardrops. It is infected. The ENT came in the room. He asked me what's going on. I told him I have an ear infection in my right ear. There is a tube in it, and it's been leaking out for 2 weeks. I did get a antibiotic, a strong antibiotic for a week. Did not fix it, even though I did the walk-in. She noted I had a tube in it. Didn't give me eardrops. So he basically walked up, took a look at my ear, goes, yep, you have an ear tube. You're supposed to have eardrops. I don't know why they're not giving you eardrops. I'm going to put an order right now. come see me after you get discharged. I got discharged late. They weren't there, so I wasn't able to see him on Friday. And he walked out. 30 seconds. That's all it took was 30 freaking seconds to do that. Finally got the eardrops. Ears now starting to feel better. Not 100%, but it is feeling better. So this is Tuesday night. So it took 4 days for them to finally look at my ear infection. Now we get to the rough part, guys. Wednesday rolls around. Day 5 of being in the hospital. Again, my liver levels are still too high to operate safely. So, and I'm getting blood work done. And when you're in the hospital, you get blood work done basically every single morning at around 8 or 9 o'clock in the morning. They basically stuck me with needles. I think I counted 17 times. The whole entire time I was in the hospital. Wednesday, kind of progressed okay through the early parts of the day. But by Wednesday afternoon, when my family showed up, I finally saw my kids for the first time since the Christmas weekend, since Friday. They stopped in to say hi to me and everything. But about 4 o'clock Wednesday afternoon, I started going downhill. I was still dealing with respiratory issues. My lungs were tight. They were still coughing up junk and out of them. And about 4 o'clock that afternoon, I started spiking a fever of 101 to 102. At that time, they were not giving me an IV. They were not giving me antibiotics. They were not giving me pain management. And I'm still in the hospital, admitted into the hospital on a floor. They did not give me fluids to drink, except for little bits of sips of water. And I think I got 1 dose of Tylenol, starting after 4 p.m. By 11 o'clock that night, I was in a horrible state. I could barely talk. I was shaking from chills. I was at 102 temp by then. And the only thing they did for me was they used 7 ice bags. These are these little disposable cloth bags. They're about this long, like water pouches. You put water and ice in one end. You have this little plastic clamp. You clamp down on it, and they just packed me with ice bags for 15 hours, from 4 p.m. Wednesday Eve afternoon till Thursday morning at 7 a.m. No antibiotics, no IV, 1 dose of Tylenol, no water, nothing. No Gatorade. Still no investigation on my upper respiratory functions on my chest. Thursday morning, I have a severe coughing fit. And every morning from Tuesday morning, Monday morning, Tuesday morning, Wednesday morning, Thursday morning, I am coughing phlegm and debris out of my lungs into barf bags every morning. That morning, I was coughed so bad, I broke the IV tube that was in my arm. So they had to take it out. And on that note, after 5 failed attempts to get an IV into me, 5 times they tried to poke me to get a new IV in me, they failed. They had to call in an ultrasound person to get an IV into me, and they were successful on the 6th time to start a new IV in my arm. I'm still coughing, by the way, so sorry. So Thursday morning, and I didn't sweat the whole time. Their whole entire 15-hour thing, I never sweat the whole time. I didn't start around 7 o'clock in the morning, I felt water on my back. I thought one of the bags had broke a little bit, but no, I finally started sweating at 7. So that's when I finally broke the fever. and I got myself down to, I think it was 99 point something at that point. And also, mind you, they tried to have a surgery on me Tuesday. They couldn't do it because of the liver levels. They tried to do it Wednesday afternoon. Couldn't do it because of the liver levels. So finally, Thursday comes around. By around 10, 11 o'clock, we're like, the surgeon came in, as each day the surgeon came in, and they're like, looks like we're going to try to do around 2 or 3 o'clock, but you're on the ready list because you're in the hospital, blah, 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 blah. But since my fever broke and everything, my liver levels did go down to 1 at that point, so it looks like we're all set to go. 1:30 rolls around. We get the phone call across the PA. My nurse name, OR's on hold for you. All right, it's game time. The rooms are so small. They had to take my roommate out. I'm just going to call him my roommate. We were roommates almost the entire time I was there. They had to kick him out of the room, shove his bed kitty corner as much as they could, and try to get my bed out the door. It almost didn't fit, and I almost got my arm taken off because the IV. Because right before I was about to leave, the OR goes, "Oh, by the way, we need you to dump another bag of antibiotics into him," which was my first one that I had almost the whole day. And the arm also got taken off by the IV getting caught in the door on the way out. I get wheeled down to the OR, and it's about 2 o'clock in the afternoon by then. Girl comes up, puts all these stickers and lines into me for the EKG stuff. And then the anesthesiologist comes over. We start talking, and he asks me questions. He says, "Anything else going on with you?" It's like, "Well, I've had an ear infection for about over 2 weeks. I finally just started getting treatment for it Tuesday." He goes, "Oh, okay." And he looks at my chart. So you have sleep apnea? I go, "Yep." And I go, I'm a 14 for pressure." He goes, "Ooh, that's really severe." I go, "Yeah, I know. I stopped when they did my sleep testing. You do an in-person sleep testing for sleep apnea, and they test you, and I'm a 14, which is extremely high. The person who was doing the study, they watch you basically on camera. They stick you with leads. They put a CPAP machine that they control in a booth on their end. And apparently, I stopped breathing once every 45 seconds. Yeah, once every 45 seconds. I stopped breathing 90 times that night when they did my testing. Um, and he comes over, and he noted I have asthma. I've had asthma since I was 16. I'm 43 now. I so he comes over and listens to my lungs, and they're rattling like crazy, like they had been all week. He goes, "You," it's like he's like, "You are wheezing really badly." So he runs over, grabs a large shot of steroids, and immediately orders nebulizer treatment to try to get my lungs cleaned up. He slammed the steroid in me. He gets me going on the nebulizer. This is a good thing. And I start puking out tons, and I'm sorry for the graphic, but tons and tons and tons of junk out of my lungs. All over paper towels, because out the little head here. So I just start just spitting out on paper towels, and we're just throwing them on the floor, getting all the stuff out of my lungs. Long story short, third day in a row, they decided to cancel the operation again. The anesthesiologist is in shock of my condition that I'm in. And he asked me, when did this start? I told him Sunday night, Monday. I started having a problem with tightness in my lungs and coughing up stuff. And he told me that he was going to cancel it because if they went ahead with the operation, they would have to intubate me. Which, if you don't know what that means, they have to stick a line into your mouth, down your throat, or up your nose, down your throat, into your lung area to make sure your lungs stay inflated. And so you can keep breathing through anesthesia and like that. And because you do it that way, I would have had to go into ICU after my surgery for an unknown amount of time until I could breathe on my own. If they did the operation in my current state, operation gets canceled, I have to get wheeled back into the room again. My wife was already there, standing there waiting for me because she was going to be there around for my operation. And they said anxiety. I just glared at her. And as soon as they finally wheeled me in and put me in position, I just start ranting and raving. And I told her the reason they didn't want to do it was because of my current condition of my lungs. About 20 minutes later, the surgeon who was supposed to perform the operation comes up and basically talked about the same thing I talked about with the anesthesiologist. They were going to, he apologized for everything. He doesn't know why it happened. He says, we are one team here. This is my team, and they let us down. And I will talk to the nurse to figure out what's going on and how and what happened. And on top of that, they ordered the chest x-ray, which I asked back on Monday to get, along with testing cultures, no swab, stuff like that to figure out what was happening with my lungs. This is Thursday afternoon. This was requested back on Monday, guys. And to try to smooth things over a little bit, the surgeon also told them to move me to the 6th floor, which is a more private floor, single independent rooms, stuff like that. So it's a lot quieter up there. As a sorry thing, I guess. Um, um, so I get up there around about 2 hours later, about 2 or 3 hours later, they moved me up there. I was up there by around 6 o'clock because they do a shift change at around 7. So about 2 hours later, I literally got moved up there. Um, by the end of the night, I got my chest X-ray and they did a nose swab and everything. At around 1 o'clock in the morning, I'm sorry, they didn't get chest X-ray. They did no swab, not chest X-ray. Around 1 o'clock in the morning, this is Friday morning now, so this is Friday, um, January 3rd now. I get woken up at 1 o'clock in the morning. I wasn't sleeping. I couldn't sleep. I couldn't sleep that night because everything this whole past week's been bothering me, including last night. I couldn't sleep either. But they come in at 1 o'clock in the morning, and I look up after the no swap thing. They're wearing disposable gowns, masks, everything, like decon kind of gear, or disposable gear that they can take off as soon as they leave the room. In other words, high infectious disease covering stuff, like just basic stuff. So I'm thinking, oh god. Come in, do the chest X-ray, put in another antibiotic in me, and start my IV again. Do vitals and everything. Oh, and I forgot to mention that also during the whole fiasco on Wednesday night, one of the nurses that was there on a 4-hour shift never even did vitals. You're supposed to do vitals every single shift. One of the nurses didn't even do vitals. That same night that I came down with that lung fever. So, never slept all that night. Had requests for a Toradol shot because the only other medication I was allowed was there's 2 medications I was allowed to take for pain. One was Toradol, which is an IV version of ibuprofen, Motrin, that kind of thing. Makes you a little dizzy after about 15 minutes, but it's easier in your stomach. The other one was Dilaudid, which is a narcotic, and every time they gave it to me, I threw up. Every single time. Mind you, also, that during this entire process, for when I was admitted Saturday morning, all the way up until that Thursday night, I never ate food. I had no food. I had a total of maybe 3 ginger ales, 3 apple juices, and a couple sips of chicken broth twice. That's all I had for the first 5-6 days I was in the hospital for. So I didn't even eat the whole time I was there because I wasn't allowed to. Because they didn't know when I was going to the OR to get my gallbladder taken out. So finally, Friday morning comes around. Yesterday morning comes around. The test finally came back. I tested positive for influenza A, or the flu. So the whole time I was in the hospital, being ignored for chest x-ray, being ignored for nose swabs, complaining about chest pain, complaining about coughing up fluids, complaining about not being able to breathe, for 6 days. They did nothing until the anesthesiologist, right before I was about to wheeled into the OR, says, and basically, not out loud, "What the fuck?" And I knew that Thursday night going into Friday, the reason why I didn't sleep, because I knew all night I was trying to figure out what was the conversation I was going to have with all these people that are going to get marched into my room. The head nurse, the head doctor, the surgeon, the care manager. One by one, each marched into my room Friday throughout the morning for about 45 minutes. And I had to have this conversation over and over and over and over again all Friday morning. And finally, we got to the point where the question was for me, if you have a patient in front of you that is having all these symptoms, I know the addressing issue is having a gallbladder removal. Why the hell are you not addressing the issue directly in front of you that this patient is having an upper respiratory problem, who has a history of upper respiratory problems? Why was that never addressed for 6 days? Before I left the hospital Friday, they gave me another steroid boost. This was it was a strong one. It knocked me for a loop for a while. Along with nebulizer treatment again. Had one that night and the next morning. The whole time I was on the 6th floor. The care was amazing. I wished I was up there the whole week. No offense to my roommate, but I wished I was up there the whole week because they would have gotten more individual care. Sorry. The rest of that day I was kind of wobbly. I kind of almost fell over 3 times because I was pretty much bedridden for 6 days. Finally got a little bit of food in me for lunch, and I was discharged that afternoon. And you're thinking, wait, I was discharged? Yeah, I was discharged because my ear infection still hadn't been completely gone yet, even though I went in on Saturday. My gallbladder never got removed, even though I was there for 7 days. My upper respiratory infection flu didn't get addressed until the day before I got discharged. So literally, I was there for 6 days, and none of these 3 things was ever actually resolved. So what's the plan going forward right now? Plan going forward is I have a discharge appointment with my personal care doctor, which I'm sure will be overcharged once again by the hospital because they overcharge you double. Instead of charging you $20, they charge you $40 for your PCP appointments, which is your personal care provider. They always charge you double, even though you're supposed to charge you only 20. And they've been doing that for 8 years. Same hospital, guys. Same group. So I have a meeting with them on Monday for my post-care hospital visit because it was a 7-day stay. And they also have to fill out FMLA paperwork because I was out of work that entire week because I was in the hospital. So I lost 4 vacation days plus the holiday. And because I'm in the hospital, I missed the Cancer Marathon event that we were going to do for Worlds Collide, the Golden Golems year-end review event that we're going to do for Worlds Collide. I missed my family Christmas that was on New Year's Eve. I missed all that. I missed those 5 days of work because I was in the hospital. I'm going to be missing another 5 days of work for now FMLA leave to recover from all this. And note, the gallbladder is still in me. Still has stones. Is still in a bad and poor state. Liver is still in a bad and poor state. I am sitting here in pain right now on this side of my body. Still. The plan is for me to go back to that hospital on the 15th to talk to the surgeon group for pre-op to pick a day to have the surgery when I'm in a better condition. And then we'll have a surgery probably the end of January, possibly the beginning of February, to have the gallbladder actually taken out. So for 7 days, this hospital failed me. It failed my family, it failed me, it failed pretty much all you guys too. And anytime I asked for stuff to help, or because I knew there was something wrong with my lungs, it was ignored. And I had to argue with nurses to get the care I really needed, and they ignored me. I don't know what else I could have done. And I'm still sitting here. Now I'm sitting here home 7 days later, and I'm still broken, never fixed from that hospital. I will say the surgeon, the anesthesiologist, and the head doctor are going to, or did tell the hospital not to bill me, to put the building on hold for now, pending a further investigation. I was referred to patient grievances, which has not reached out to me yet because I was literally just charged last night, and it's Saturday, so I'm probably not going to hear from them till probably Monday at the earliest. And we'll have to see where it goes from there. Um, I I don't even know what else to say. I really don't. I went in with abdominal pain. I went in with an ear infection. A day or two later, I was having respiratory issues, and almost none of it was ever addressed. None of it was fully taken care of. So I'm hoping for therapeutic also. There was 2 reasons for this, why I did this, the whole vlog thing. One was therapeutic to get it out of my freaking system. So maybe I can sleep. I don't know. It's probably a combination of reliving what the hell just happened, understanding what else could I have done differently, and I don't think there's anything else I could have done differently because these people are supposed to be freaking professionals and figure this thing out for themselves. Um, and the other part was maybe because I was in the hospital for 7 days on pain management killers over the intravenous with like Dilaudid stuff with narcotics that actually helped me go to sleep. Maybe that's the other reason why I can't fall asleep right now. It's probably a combination of both. So, but anyways, all right. So we're gonna take a quick break, then, and we'll come back for actual fun stuff, guys. We'll do some fun run stuff and like that, and play some extra Worlds Collide. All right. So if you want to join me, if you guys are interested in playing, just chit chatting and just playing a fun seed thing, we could do that. Let me know. I'll be back in about 5 minutes or so. All right, guys. So BRB.